A Ford Mustang TT4.
Dominant fashion, Kylie Glenn.
Yeah! Area 51 podcast. This is Cap Houston right here. Bobby, what you got for me?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Bobby. We've got Dave. We've got Rob. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, Bobby. How about you?
Doing good.
Hey, I'm chilling sunny and 75 down here in Charlotte, so doing real good.
Yeah, don't rub it in. I just got back from Florida.
Oh, I
So,
know. I know. That's why I had to throw it in there. You're like, man,
we were sitting at 82.
I'm kind of bummed to go back to Ohio, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, are you now? Are you really?
I was fine up until we got on the airplane and it was 82, and I'm like, all right, we'll be all right. And then we landed in Detroit, and I just went, ugh. I seen the temperature just go, whoa.
I need my
40-degree
hoodie.
difference.
Right.
All right, tonight we've got Phil Combs. How you doing, Phil?
Doing great. Doing great.
So tonight is episode 59 of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. It is sponsored today by Alliance Drive-Away Solutions. I want to give a shout out to Tate. Phil, first of all, I see the Harry Gant stuff behind you. You were saying that you're in your Harry Gant room, so we're gonna throw this off real quick. Harrison's just made an announcement. What would you say, a couple hours ago, and they are going to be sponsoring Jeremy at Darlington for Throwback Weekend, and they are throwing it back to Harry Gant. So I'm going to show you guys the picture of that real quick. Here's the car if you have not seen it. Harrison's is also going to be doing t-shirts. If you guys would like a t-shirt, a throwback t-shirt, go to harrisonsusa.com, and I'll remind you guys at the end of the show to do that also if you haven't. But pretty sharp looking car. What do you guys think?
I think it looks awesome. I mean, it's a throwback to his 1985 livery that he had, that classic green white Skull Bandit, with the big cowboy hat and red bandana, skull logo on the hood, like the one right behind Mr. Combs' shoulder there in his background.
There you go.
Exactly like that. Just classic, legendary, iconic livery logo, plus handsome Harry Gant. How could you not, like that livery and throw it back to a legend in the sport?
So Phil, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh man, you don't have to convince me. I think it's great. And anytime anybody does anything to remember Harry by, I'm all for it, because I'm one of the folks that's hoping and praying that somehow or another that one of these days that the powers that be will get him into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And every time I get a chance to push for that, I do so. So I'm tickled to death that Harrison's and Jeremy, and it's so crazy that all this stuff came about today. And I had actually tried to call Jeremy. I was in Spartanburg yesterday, and I was going to go by the race shop and talk to him, but I was running late getting back to Shelby. But I think it's going to be one of the, I mean, personally, I don't even know what he's going to be up against, but it's going to be hard to beat that for the throwback in my eyes. And I think the fact that they're going as far as having shirts and everything that you can buy, I think all these Harry Gant fans like myself will come out of the woodwork and buy one.
Absolutely. If you want, give Jeremy we were talking about Jeremy earlier. If you want, give him a shout out on the show, and we'll see if we can get him to hear what you had to say.
Yeah, Jeremy, he's from being down in Spartanburg, which is about 35 minutes from where I live here in Shelby. He's always been a favorite for a lot of folks around here. He raced 4-cylinder cars at Cherokee Speedway back in the day. before he moved up and ran late models. And, you know, there's a lot of folks around here proud of him and the whole Clements family. That, you know, the name Clements in Spartanburg is, you go back to Louis Clements and Crawford Clements, that they had so much history back in the days of Rex White. I actually did talk to Rex White today, and Louis Clements was his crew chief, you know, back in the day. So the Clements name's got a lot of connections to this area, and that's why I'm really hoping I can have Jeremy here on April the 6th.
It's hard to see, but that is a Rex White diecast actually that I have here.
Yeah, if everything goes as planned, and this is kind of funny, Rex told me today, said, well, you know, I don't know if I'm going to have a way to get there. And I said, well, if it all works out, I hope Chase Pollard, who is Harry Gant's grandson and Larry Pollard's son, is going to bring Harry. I said, they're going to come right by Rex's house. Rex lives 8.5 miles from Harry. And I said, I'll see if I can get Chase to pick you up and bring both you guys down here at the same time. That'll be pretty cool to have two of the biggest names in racing that both live in Taylorsville here once again. They were both at my last show, and I hope I can have them both here again.
Awesome. So, Phil, can you tell us about yourself and also how you got involved in racing and your family's history in racing?
Well, as far as my history goes, my mom and my dad worked for NASCAR for 20 years. My dad was a chief steward for Western North Carolina, and he flagged a lot of races. He flagged the first World 600. He flagged at Wilkesboro, Asheville, Weaverville, pretty much everything in Western North Carolina. But he did flag at Darlington and a lot of other places too. Not a lot, but he did some. But he drove the pace car on the big track at Daytona, and he flagged the last race on the beach at Daytona. So that's kind of cool. But my dad also flagged in a Speedway movie that Elvis Presley was in. And so him and my mom was what they called a track steward, and she sold the drivers their NASCAR license. She sold them their pit pass when they got to the track, and she actually paid them at the end of the night. So from that, you know, I was going to races from the time I can remember, and I started selling Southern Motorsports newspapers when I was a kid. And, you know, from that, I started racing go-karts when I was just a kid, you know, in 1970. And from then, you know, I raced in the Baby Grand Series and the Dash Series, and later on dirt. And, you know, I just been around it my whole life. Well, my mother, she was kind of like, excuse me, she was kind of like a pack rat, but it was a pack rat of really cool stuff. And she saved a lot of stuff that from her travels and my travels and everything else. So when my mom passed away, you know, we had all this stuff, and I'd been wanting to do this for a long time. And I've had Lord knows how many people ask me that I think my dad would ever get in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And I tell everybody the same thing. No, I don't think any official will probably ever get in there, because they can't even get all the drivers and the crew people. And I've actually put a thing on my Facebook page today trying to get Tiger Tom Pistone to come here to my thing. I'm going to do a Tiger Tom Pistone drive to get people to sign a composition book that I'm going to personally take it to Winston Kelly, give it to Winston, and hopefully get Tiger on the ballot. He's not even on the ballot. You got to get on the ballot before you can get in the Hall of Fame. And so that's going to be step number one. But getting back to my family, you know, racing's been the greatest thing ever for me. Now, I didn't make a living in racing, but I've been around racing forever. 1970, like I said, was my first year ever raced, and I actually won the championship racing go-karts at a track right here in Shelby, not far from where I live, in 1970. And so, but fast forward to when I retired from FedEx. I retired from FedEx in 2018, and I had my mind made up that I wanted to build me a museum to honor my mom and my dad. And so this thing has kind of blossomed into not just my mom and dad, but stuff from my racing. And then like Harry Gant, I'm sitting in my Harry Gant room right this second. You see the stuff behind me right here. There's Harry Gant stuff all in this room, and some of the coolest Harry Gant stuff you'll see. And like if you see this helmet right here, I'll let's see if you can see this. And you see this orange helmet?
Yeah.
Harry was in the Junior Johnson movie, Last American Hero. And that's a helmet that they actually painted for that car that he drove, that for whatever reason, Harry never did wear the helmet. So Ben Barnes ended up with the helmet somehow or another. And Ben, who built Harry's engines, gave me that helmet. And thank goodness he gave it to me, because if you folks remember Hurricane Helene that we had back in October, ended up washing Ben's shop down to French Broad River pretty much. And so thank the good Lord I've got that helmet in my Harry Gant collection. But I wish, I mean, I'm looking forward to all you guys coming and seeing my place, because it's it's been a lot of work. I've been working. I have worked all day today trying to get ready for April the 6th, and I just had come in the house and grabbed a bite to eat right quick. Me and a friend of mine were out working on the truck that Harry Gant pulled his first race car with when he drove for Benny Curley in 1965. And we can get it to crank, but it won't keep running. So it's either the fuel pump's bad or I got a stopped up fuel filter. So we've been out there working on that. We want to have the thing where you can drive it at the reunion here coming up next week.
So is that the old mail truck vehicle that was? Okay.
It's actually a 1957 Chevrolet U.S. mail truck. That's what it really was. And Harry somehow, I mean, Benny bought it from the post office somehow or another and converted it into a race car hauler. But it's really a cool piece. And when Harry was here the last time, he told some amazing stories about it. And it's just a piece of racing history in this part of the country. And there's so many people that come here that want to get their picture made standing beside that truck, that they say, "Oh, I've seen this truck pulling in Savannah, Georgia. I've seen it pulling in at Langley Field, Virginia, or Kingsport, Tennessee." And that thing's been around the world. It has, but it's got a lot of patina to it now, I guess you'd say, as they say on American Pickers.
That's awesome.
See, I can't believe that. You're just down in Shelby, and one of my favorite places to eat is Wings Etc. right off 74. And I had never stopped at your place before. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Now, where did you say you eat at?
Wings Etc. off 74, right across from the mall. Yeah.
Well, that's only 5 minutes from my house. Yeah, I can't believe you don't eat at Bridges Barbecue, which is right up the street from it.
Oh, believe me, I've been there a time or two.
Yeah, well, Bridges Barbecue, I have more people come here from out of town that see, I post a lot of stuff about Bridges because I'm good friends with them, and they want to end the visit here with a meal at Bridges, and so I eat there a lot. I probably eat there more than the average person, but it's good. It's known all over the country. I actually met Billy Graham's grandson, who had stopped in Bridges to eat one night on his way to Forest City to do a 3-day deal at a church up there. And so I didn't meet him at Bridges that night, but I went to Forest City and seen him and took something I had and got him to sign. But he was telling me the story that his grandfather, and I found this out from the girls at Bridges too, Billy Graham used to eat there, and he sat in the same booth every time he come, if he could sit in that particular booth, and he ate the same thing. So he wanted to sit in that same booth and eat what his grandfather ate, which I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, they've definitely got some of the best chopped pork and and hush puppies, and in Carolinas.
You'll have to let me know the next time you come, and I'll meet you up there at either Wings Etc. or Bridges and eat.
Yeah, definitely can do that, Phil. I'd love to. It'd be a privilege.
Hey, and you guys mentioned it being show number 59, and I'm so glad that you let me be part of it, because Robert Presley and I go back to when we were kids, and we used to see each other on Friday night at Asheville and Saturday night at Hickory when my dad was the chief steward at both tracks. So my dad was the NASCAR official that his dad had to contend with everywhere he went to race. But, Robert, he's had a great career, and he's done well in life in general. He's got a very successful celebrity hot dogs eating place that now his daughter Shelby runs pretty much. And, he was a county commissioner for Buncombe County for a pretty long while. And he made a great mark for himself in both the Busch Series and the Cup Series, and even all the way back to the Dash Series. He won a Dash race back in the day. But, Robert's a great guy, and I kind of feel honored. I actually talked to Tate Lott on the phone the other day about having the 59 Alliance car here at my thing on April the 6th. And I haven't found out for sure if they're going to be able to bring it or not, but I hope they can. But let me move a second. I want to show you this. This is my Robert Presley section in my Harry Gant room, you might say. If you can see this, that big trophy you see, that's a trophy that he won in 1985 when he won the North Carolina State Championship at New Asheville Speedway in his late model. And that plaque you see above that poster, the Mannheim poster, that's the plaque he got for being the pole qualifier for that race. And here's a Charlotte Road to Charlotte 1985 Invitational winner, Coca-Cola. And there's this Kingsford jacket and a lot of the Alliance stuff here in the skull. And this is a t-shirt from his eating place. But this is kind of cool right here. This is the shirt Brad Daugherty Racing, you know, where Brad actually helped him when he run a late model car. And so Robert actually lined it up for me to get this shirt from Brad Daugherty Racing. But this is also die-cast cars of Robert's down here, the Match Light car and the 50th anniversary car and the Jasper cars. And just a little bit of this, that, and the other. I like this picture right here. Let me show you this. This is where he won the Road to Charlotte race. I've got the jacket hanging up here. He got a $500 bonus for that. And, you know, that's $500 might not seem like a whole lot of money now, but back in those days when those guys were racing out of their pocket pretty much, that was a lot of money. But, you know, Robert told me an interesting story one time, and after I thought about this, I can understand why he wasn't very happy about it. But, you know, when he was in his prime, he actually went to Coca-Cola and approached them about being one of the Coca-Cola drivers, you know, like they had, say, you know, like Tony Stewart or whoever was a driver, because Robert actually drove a Coca-Cola truck, you know, and that would have been a huge tie-in, I thought, you know, and he did too, for a guy that made it to NASCAR, started out driving a Coca-Cola truck, and now he's sponsored by Coca-Cola. But it never did pan out, but I thought it would have been a cool deal if it would have.
Yeah, that I don't know if you knew, last year Jeremy Clements did a throwback to Robert Presley's car, the 59 car from his Darlington win years. Actually, this is one of the crew shirts from last year from that race. That Tate and LJ Lida's Business Alliance Driveway Solutions sponsored. So, but yeah,
you know, I've got some other interesting history on Alliance. It was actually Johnny McFadden that got those guys into racing. Did you realize that?
No.
Do you know who Johnny McFadden was? You
I
may
do
not even
not
know.
know.
Okay, Johnny was actually from Rutherford. He still lives in Rutherford, but he's the one that taught those guys into getting into racing. And he was actually number 24 when he drove the car, and then they later on changed it, you know. But Johnny's going to be here at my house on the 6th also. But it was kind of interesting that when Johnny drove for Alliance, they just had a part-time deal, and then they wanted Johnny to go full-time. Well, he's in the dairy farm business, and it's a family thing's been started since 1925, I believe. And he said, fellas, he said, I'd love the chance, but I just can't leave my family farm to do it. So that's how Robert ended up getting that ride.
Wow, that's a cool story. That's one of the big reasons why we wanted you to come on to the podcast, because you're like a living time capsule of NASCAR history that a lot of people, I mean, don't know about you. I didn't know about you until Tate. We talked with Tate and said, hey, we know, I know Phil Combs. He's a very good guy, and he has this museum, and it will blow your mind what he has at your museum. And then, you know, I did start doing some background and looking in, preparing for the podcast tonight, and I was like blown away by the information and the stuff, that the videos and photos that I saw, and the knowledge and information that you have and the connections you have. It is just unbelievable.
Well, you know, I tell a lot of people a lot of times, and I've talked about this with Robert. I have, you know, and Robert and I are like two women. We get on the phone and we'll end up talking for 2 or 3 hours. I remember one night we was talking at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and Robert's wife come in there, and she said, who in the world are you talking to? He said, I'm still talking to Phil. And she said, my God, it's 10 minutes after 1. But we've got so much in common. When we get on the phone, we hardly can't get off the phone. But it's not the fact that I know about it, it's that I got to live through it. You know, I've met so many people, and I tell people all the time, I was so blessed that my parents were involved in racing, and that, you know, I got to go to these races and meet these people. And then even when my parents got out of racing, I was involved in it enough that I stayed involved, that just kept on meeting them, and it's just been, I've lived a great life, if you want to know the truth, to be able to do what I've done and meet the people that I've got to meet. And it's just been a godsend. I mean, I'm just very blessed. That's all I can say.
And to follow up with that, what I was saying is, it's a good thing that you are sharing this knowledge and information and the memorabilia you have to grow and continue the history of the sport of racing for not only fans that, you know, they have lived in that era of racing or whatever, but for the new fans as well. And that's the only way that those stories are going to be kept alive, is as a result of, unfortunately, everybody that back then is getting older and either has passed away or are in their upper 80s, 90s, and may not be able to, you know, talk about it as well and reminisce about, you know, sharing stories or whatever. But has anybody ever like approached you and said, hey, you are like this diamond that we found that is full of all this information, you have all this memorabilia and in your museum, that maybe either write a book about it or do a documentary about it?
Yeah, I've had probably, now you might not believe this, but I probably had 20, 25 people approach me about would I be interested in writing a book. And I tell people, I don't even have time to write a letter, much less a book. You know, I mean, it's great that people think that, but it, you know, it's just, I mean, yeah, I have, but I want to mention this. When Mitchell Stapleton came here recently and did his podcast deal with YouTube, I should say, he was here for 6.5 hours videoing. 6.5 hours now. We didn't stop at one time, basically, in 6.5 hours to drink some water. And so if you watch his video, it's down to an hour and 56 minutes. And so there's a lot of stuff that got left out. But he told me that day that he couldn't believe, kind of like what you're talking about, because it wasn't like I'm just showing him something. I had a story pretty much to go with everything I did show him. And I think that's what, that's the thing that when people come here to see my place, that they enjoy the most, is that pretty much everything I've got is similar to that Harry Gant helmet I showed you. There's a story that goes with every piece that's here. And it's not just like something that I bought off eBay. You know, I mean, I get some stuff off of eBay, very little, but I do get a little bit. But most of the stuff has a personal connection to me. It does. So, you know, I mean, I can turn this around here and show you this. And this is some cool stuff right here. The skull uniforms. I mean, all this stuff right here it's the original stuff from, I've got the jacket. A lot of you folks might remember the name Little Bud Moore. This is the original first ever Skull Bandit jacket, and I got it from Little Bud. I actually, back in the Burton House Skull Bandit, I actually found his gun. We were at a thing together down in Easley, South Carolina, and he had a gun in his front seat, and it ended up falling out of the seat and fell underneath my truck. Well, when I did the research and found out that he had reported it missing, and I got it back to him, he was so thrilled that he said, Phil, he said, I never have even shot that gun. And so this is Little Bud Moore. I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, but he used to race NASCAR. And so I got him that. So he said, let me give you something. He said, you won't take any cash. He said, let me give you something for your place. So he gave me that jacket and a Richard Petty director's chair, because he was actually in charge of Richard Petty's farewell tour, you know. And so Richard gave him a lot of cool stuff for helping him when it was all said and done. He gave me the director's chair that Richard had gave him. So that's how I ended up with that. And, you know, it's like I say, everything here's pretty much got a story like that. But that's the one thing that's different than my place than going to, say, the NASCAR Hall of Fame, or to, you know, I love the museum in Dawsonville over at the Georgia deal at Dawsonville, you know, and I like that place. I just went to the Wood Brothers place again for about my probably 6th or 7th time the other day, and they got a cool place. But one thing about my place versus other places too, and I made this statement in Mitchell's show, and he did put this in there. If it's got the word race attached to it, and I've been on this deal with the soapbox derby thing. I posted a thing on my Facebook page about a soapbox derby car. I sent on my page on a Charlotte, North Carolina page about a soapbox derby car that a friend of mine that passed away had and gave it to another friend of mine. And we are trying to find out who might have raced it. And now we found out who the family is and all that. And they're wanting to come to my show and see the car. And, it's just, I like the personal aspect of stuff. I mean, I think that means more to a lot of people that come here to visit. That I've got a whole Asheville section, and this is tied into Robert Presley, and I got more Jack Ingram stuff than anybody on planet Earth has. I'm serious. If you're a Jack Ingram fan, I got the toolbox. I've got his first uniform. I got his last uniform. I mean, I've got so much cool stuff at Jack's. But that's the stuff that people like that I've got that other people don't have. If that makes any sense.
Is that a pedal car behind you?
Is that what?
Is that a pedal car right behind you? Under the hood?
A pedal car?
Yeah, it looks like a pedal car back there.
No, it's not a pedal car. I'll show you what it is. It's a Harry Gant car.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, how cool is that?
And right behind it is the Ronnie and the Daytonas. If you remember the song Little GTO,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's my Ronnie and the Daytonas. This is the other half of the Harry Gant room. It's actually my music room. And I'm a big music person. I like mostly country music and Carolina beach music. And I'm good friends with T.G. Shepherd. I've got a T.G. Shepherd section here. And there's a lot of cool music stuff here. Billy Craddock stuff on him. And Don Gibson, this is the lyrics of I Can't Stop Loving You that his wife, Bobby, gave me. She had 200 of these things made. One hangs in the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville. They got one up in the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. And, of course, the Don Gibson Hall of Fame. But this is my Don Gibson shelf right here. That's actually Bobby in that picture when they got married. You can see that. And Don signed that for me and those records the last time he was in Shelby, I guess, before he passed away. But back to the Harry Gant car. I bought this from a friend of mine, and there's a Harry Gant hood, some Harry Gant pictures. But I found this car that a buddy of mine had, and he wanted to sell it. And it was a promotional item that they had give away at the local Oldsmobile dealership back in the day. So he made me a heck of a deal on it. And when he did, I didn't even tell him what my plan was, but I knew all along. I said, well, that's the same kind of car that Harry raced. So I got the guy that does all my painting I took him a stock car racing magazine and the body, and he painted it like that. And then I took it over to Bill Ron that restores cars, and Bill got his decal man to do the decals on it. So then I took it to Harry's house and got him to autograph, and he put, of course, his name and the Skull Bandit and Mr. September on it. So it's a cool piece. It's a great conversation piece, and the kids love it, and adults like it too. So yeah, but it's one of the more talked about things in the Harry Gant room because nobody's ever seen one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't see stuff like that too often. It's just it's crazy. That's like we were saying, or I was saying before. I mean, Mitchell's video. I watch his videos because he does an amazing job of documenting race history as well, which I'm a huge fan of the sport. So I like watching that type of stuff. And there was so much stuff that you had that I saw in the video. What is the very first thing you collected, number one? And
right.
What is your most favorite piece that you have in your collection?
Well, the first thing I ever collected when I was a kid was decals. And I told that story about Tiny Lund giving me that picture in Mitchell's show that I collected decals and postcards, but mainly decals. And so and I still collect them to this day. If anybody's got any old vintage decals, I'd buy them from you or whatever. But my favorite thing probably is a picture of me and Richard Petty on the back straightaway at Charlotte Motor Speedway in 1965. the year that he drag raced the Barracuda, that they were, they were boycotting NASCAR because he wouldn't let them run the Hemi. And so he went drag racing, and we went down to Charlotte to the drag race, my parents and I, and I got my picture made with Richard. That's the first time I ever met Richard Petty, and I got my picture made with him. And so I got Richard, I had me an 8x10 made of it, and I had it signed. It's in the seat of my go-kart, my Richard Petty go-kart. My first real go-kart that I raced was number 43. And I got it sitting in the seat of my go-kart in the museum. So that's probably my most cherished thing, that picture of me and Richard Petty.
Now, if people aren't familiar with where you're at and how to come see you in April, what's the address of your location and date and time when you're gonna have this going on?
I live at 833 Pleasant Drive in Shelby, North Carolina. It's easy to get to. It's about 5 minutes from where you was talking about at Wings Etc. or Bridges Barbecue, if you know where the mall is in Shelby on 74. But it's very easy. Just Google it and it'll bring you right here. But my show, it starts at 11:30. I have a church service, and the church service lasts till 12 o'clock. And then I have a memorial service, and that's for a lot of the drivers and friends of mine that have passed away since I had my last show, including Freddie Smith, dirt track legend Freddie Smith, and Billy Scott, and a lot of other racing people. And we're going to have Dink Widenhouse's car. Dink passed away, so I'm going to have a memorial set up right close to where all the church services at, of Billy Scott's car, Freddie Smith's car, Dink Widenhouse's car. And then after that, at 12, from 12 to 12:30 is a memorial service. At 12:30, I'll do a thing for Barry Wright, and Barry Wright's from Shelby. Now he lives in Spartanburg, but Barry Wright's a dirt late model chassis builder and has been since 1974, I guess. And so I'm doing a thing for him and his wife, Judy. Then I'm doing a thing for Ricky Weeks. Ricky Weeks went in the Dirt Late Model Hall of Fame last year, and I'm having a Southern version of his Hall of Fame induction. And it's going to be very cool. We got a lot of his pit crew members and sponsors and fans and everybody coming for that. And then I'm having a Cherokee Speedway late model driver reunion. Like people like to say Jack Pennington and a bunch of those guys are going to be here. And then I'm having a Shuffletown Dragway reunion. I'm a big drag racing fan too, having a reunion for that. And then the last part of that is I'm having a pit crew reunion for Billy Standridge that used to run in the Cup Series. And Billy was number 47 in the Cup Series. He made the field at Daytona the year that Dale got killed. And everybody in Shelby was proud of him. And so he and I were good friends. Like I said, he only lived about a mile from me here. And so I've got about 25 of his old pit crew members. And one of them was here tonight, Rusty Lawson, helping me work on the Benny Curley Harry Gant truck. And I got about 25 members of his old pit crews that helped him all through the stages, from the Dash Series to the Busch Series to the Cup Series, are going to be here, plus all his family members. So it's a full day. It's a full afternoon of, and I tell people that my main goal is this. I got a little thing that I do when we first get started, thanking everybody, but here's my main objective in doing this. I want you to when you get in your car and crank it up to leave at the end of the afternoon, I want you to feel better about your life and what's going on in your life and in general than you did when you got here. I mean, this is a day all about seeing people you haven't seen in a long time and having a lot of fun. And I also tell this little thing right here. I said, there's probably somebody standing in this crowd. It might be 10 feet away from you that at one point in time you might have had some kind of a beef with, whether he wrecked you or you wrecked him or something. I said, if you ever want to mend your fence, today's the day to do it. If you want to make up and say, hey man, I know we had a problem 10 years ago, but let's put that behind us now and go on in life. But you will be surprised how many times I've had people come to me after the fact and said, man, I don't even thought about that if you hadn't have said that. But it's that my whole thing is just about having fun and having a good time. It is. It's not a moneymaker. I mailed a check today for $357 for Porta Johns. It's not a cheap thing to put on what I do. I do have a couple of sponsors that help me with it, and it helps me some. But it's more about giving back. People have been nice to give me stuff, and I just want to give back to the community and let everybody, there's no pressure, and it's just a great day to have a lot of fun and just, see people you hadn't seen. I'll tell you one thing that happened at the last Fano. After everything was said and done, the tent was gone, my life's back to normal. I started getting all these messages. And people thanking me said, I've been a Harry Gant fan my whole life, and I never had got to meet him. And it said, if it wasn't for you having him at your show this past Sunday, I never would have got to meet him. And just to hear people telling you stuff like that, and to know that you were responsible for making them happy, that's better than any kind of money that you could ever get.
So do people need to let you know in advance that they're coming, or is there like some type of a reservation list that they need to do, or can they just show
No.
up and?
No, it's just, I'll tell you what I will do. Anybody that follows me on Facebook, on about Thursday before the thing, I'll do a Facebook live show driving down the road in my truck, and I explain where you park, where not to park, and how, if you're bringing a car for the car show or a race car for the race car show. I have a go-kart show, I have a motorcycle show, I have a mini bike show, and all this is combined into one thing. And I've got parking mapped out for where everybody parks at. But no, as far as spectators, if you want to come, you can bring a bus load if you want to. And my old saying is, the more the merrier, because it's I just I want everybody to come here and see what I've done, and hopefully they'll appreciate it, and maybe bring somebody with them next year and have even a bigger time.
Yeah, that's awesome. To keep, like we've been saying, the continuation of sharing that history and knowledge of NASCAR and racing and in general is what's going to keep the sport alive. And before it, the people that lived it have passed away, and those stories don't get shared. Yeah,
you're exactly right. But I tell you, if you guys, and this is usually what happens, people come to the thing I'm having, and then they call me back and they say, I want a one-on-one tour, and I'll give you a prime example. Ray Hendrick's son, that passed away last year. Ray was one of the greatest modified drivers ever. And those guys, Roy came down here last year and brought like probably 6 or 7 guys with him all the way from Richmond, Virginia, and spent a day. And they wanted to go to Bridges Barbecue and eat after we got through. They'd seen me talking about Bridges, so we went there and eat. But he brought me a trophy of his dad's that he won at Hickory Speedway from a Hickory Speedway room back in 1974, and a Firestone racing jacket. But the thing that those guys said that they wanted a one-on-one thing, because that's the neatest thing, because it's hard when you come here. I got so much other stuff going on. It's hard for me to even talk to about half the people. But I love for people to come and just let me show them stuff like I'm telling you, like the jacket I'm sitting beside of, or the helmet. I got a Harry Gant helmet over here. This is the helmet that he wore in his last race. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's, and if you're walking around here at my show and you see this stuff, you wouldn't have known that. You just think it's a Harry Gant helmet sitting there. But if you know the history on it, that's his last helmet.
And that's the type of stuff that, if you go to a regular museum, is behind glass, and they may have a little placard on there saying what it is, but you don't get what you're telling us now, the provenance of where it came from, how you got it, and all the background story of it.
I went to the NASCAR Hall of Fame the other day, and to see the new displays. I always like to go down and see the Ricky Rudd and the Ralph Moody and the Carl Edwards displays. But I made it a point as I went through the museum to see how much stuff I seen about Harry. Guess how much I seen? One thing. Only one. The whole museum down there is one thing about Harry Gant. And that's really kind of hard to believe if you think about it.
That is hard to believe.
Yeah, it really is.
Now, guys, I said something earlier, but I talked to Phil. Phil's gonna have us a tour, have us down, show us live. We're gonna do some documentary at the museum. So Phil, I want to say thank you for allowing us while we're down there to tour it.
Oh man, yeah. I've been so, like I said earlier, been so blessed to meet folks like you guys that found out about this thing, and it just opens up all kinds of new avenues that I'll meet new people. I actually had a call from Sydney, Australia the other day, all the way from Sydney, Australia, and a guy that he saw the Stapleton video and he said, he said, I was a Richard Petty fan too, and I seen your Richard Petty room. And he said he had a 3-year visa to spend time in the United States back in 73, 74, and 75. And he got him a job working for a funny car team. Of course, they travel the whole United States. So when I guess they were at Rockingham, and he went and visited Richard Petty's shop, and he said he bought a few things, and he said, I would really like to donate those things to your museum so other people could see them. And that's how I get a lot of this stuff. I mean, not I say a lot, some of it, but people, the thing that I hear most from people that have some really cool stuff, they say, well, my kids don't really want it, my wife sure don't want it, and I'm afraid that when I'm dead and gone, it'll either end up in a yard sale, the Goodwill store, or the garbage dump. And I want it to go somewhere people can get some enjoyment out of it. So I've come up with like a ton of good stuff like that right there, but it's very rewarding. Just like to get to be on here tonight. I mean, this is cool to me. It takes a lot to impress me. I will tell you that. But you guys show it does impress me, and that's why I was tickled to death when you asked me to be on it.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we appreciate the kind words, and we're honored to have you on our podcast. I mean, we're the ones that definitely are happy and glad that you like our show and podcast, and were gracious enough to give us your time to come on here. That was part of the reason why we created the podcast, is like basically what you're doing, to cover the stuff that's unknown in racing and give that information out to the race fans, and share information on like the below cup level teams that don't get the regular coverage that the cup level guys and gals do, and like the sponsors, the pit crew members, the crew chiefs, that type of stuff. So yeah, we're happy, Dave, Bobby, and I, that you were willing to come on here, and we're super grateful for Tate recommending you, and glad everything worked out so we could do this.
Well, let me tell you something, fellas. If you plan on coming here, and I know you say you do, allow yourself enough time. You couldn't do it in one day if you had to, but I've got over 200 scrapbooks that I put together. And when I say a scrapbook, I mean I could show you a whole stack of Harry Gant scrapbooks here. I've got Robert Presley, I've got Tim Richmond, I've got Fireball Roberts, I've got Fred Lorenzen. I mean, you can go down the list, and I've spent hours upon hours upon hours putting these things together. And that was one of the things I really and truly think that impressed Mitchell and his wife more than anything, was the scrapbooks. And a lot of people don't never get to even look at them because they're overwhelmed with everything else so much. They don't sit down to look through the scrapbooks. But I've got a lot of cool scrapbooks. And if you like wrestling, I've got wrestling stuff too, like Ric Flair. So you'll have to check that out.
The Charlotte native himself.
Yeah.
Over half of Lake Norman is said to be his offspring.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, I've got. It's so funny. I was on a radio show in Greenville, South Carolina at WESC yesterday, and those guys were talking to me. They follow me on Facebook, and they were saying, you like wrestling as much as you like racing, don't you? And I said, well, there's only two real sports, racing and wrestling, so yes. And I see you got a dog there. I've got 5 of them, and believe it or not, I've got them all put up, or they would be in here on my lap too. But I'm a big dog person. I've got 5 dogs, and I got 10 cats, and 9 of my 10 cats are named after race drivers.
Nice. Yeah, this is my dog Sonny. He makes a guest appearance every once in a while on the podcast. So he was just barking before, and then he just came in here to say sorry that he was interfering with the podcast. So,
Well, if you're a dog person, you just got 500 bonus points.
oh, I'm a huge dog person. So
That's good.
yeah.
Mine's actually snoring right next to me.
Well, you ask anybody that knows me, and they'll tell you how much I love my animals. I do. I've been an animal person ever since I was a kid, and I guess I'll always be one.
we can't wait to meet them all in September.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Hey Phil, can you tell us about the about you announcing at Tri-County Speedway?
Oh yeah, I sure can. I'm very proud of that. You know, this makes my 25th year announcing, and I actually started down in Riverside Cartway in Cliffside, North Carolina, back in 2000. And so, like I say, this is my 25th year. Our first race, I didn't miss a single race all year last year. I'm gonna miss the first one this year because it happens to be on April the 5th. But the Higgins boys is kind enough to let me off that night. They know how important my thing is on Sunday, and I have to be here on Saturday because I got people start coming in on Friday. And but Tri-County, they, you know, these guys are great to work for. We got an excellent facility. It's got clean restrooms, great food in the concession stand. It's not overpriced. You got some of the best racing. We had the best car counts of any asphalt track in the state of North Carolina last year. And it's just a remarkable place to come and watch a race because they can race on the top, they can race on the bottom, in the middle, and it's none of this follow the leader stuff like you see at so many racetracks you go to these days that you follow somebody around to the last lap and see who you can knock out of the way to win. And if you can't pass at Tri-County, it's not because of the track, it's because of your car or yourself. But we got a great thing going. They've made more improvements this year. They're putting up new grandstands, aluminum grandstands on top of the, if you ever been to Tri-County, on both sides of the tower, on the four-turn side of the tower, there's a grassy area. They're paving that and putting aluminum bleachers up there. They're building a new tech area for the cars and a new tire barn in the pits for those guys to make tear down and pre-tech and all that a little bit easier. But they don't ever quit. You know, you go to some racetracks and it's the same old track every year. They might paint the bathroom, but that's about it. But Tri-County, they're constantly trying to improve. They put up new lights. They've repaved the track. Everything there has had something done to it. And I was fortunate enough to get to go to work there when they opened that place back up. You know, it kind of been in business, out of business for a while. And when the Higgins family bought it, I've been there ever since day one, and I love it. You know, I'll probably announce there till they run me off or I retire for good. You know, I'm semi-retired now. I used to announce go-kart races. I have done as many as 45 weeks out of 52, and some of that Friday and Saturday nights both back in the day. But, you know, I'm a little bit older now, and hopefully older and wiser, and I've slowed down some so I can enjoy a lot of other stuff like my museum. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you ever come to Tri-County, come by and see me. I have a lot of folks that come up there that I don't know them personally, but I'm friends with them on Facebook, and they drop by to see me. And that's one of the coolest things is to get to meet people that you're friends with them on Facebook, but you finally get to meet them in person.
Yeah, we actually had the privilege last year of helping support Ashton in his series. And we had a ton of fun with him, and you know, with the Higgins family, so we got to learn a lot about Tri-County. I'm only probably 2 miles as the crow flies from Carolina Speedway, the dirt track.
Right.
And like you were saying, there's tracks down here that have sit stagnant for years and years, and you can definitely tell that you know, places like Hickory and Tri-County are definitely the premier tracks, you know, down here in the southeast.
Yeah, well, that's one thing that I think the fans like the most about Tri-County is that they see the work going into the place, you know, and every time you go by it, they've done something, and it's a constant improvement thing, and that lets the fans know that they're they're dedicated and they're going to be here for a long time, hopefully. And it's just a pleasure to go up there and work. It's not really like work to me now. It's more like going to the race and getting paid to go to the race and have a good time, which I told, I used to race myself. And I told people, I said, it took me a long time to learn how to do this, but I finally figured out a way how to come home with more money than I left with. But it took me a lot of years to do it.
That's the joke in racing. If you have $1 million and you get into racing, the first day you'll be in the black or whatever you want to, or negative balance in your account, I guess is the best way to put it.
Exactly right. I wouldn't take anything for the experiences I've had in racing. And I tell this a lot of times. People ask me, say, what's your most memorable thing that's ever happened to you in racing? And I've had a lot of cool stuff happen, but I got to race at Daytona in 1982 in the Dash Series, and a car that I bought from Kurt Shalmerdine, who's now in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He was actually working for James Hilton, and he got hired by Richard Childress to be Ricky Rudd's crew chief in 1982. So Richard didn't want him racing anymore, so he put his car up for sale, and I'd already raced in the Dash Series some, and it was Baby Grand Series then when it was first opened. And then a buddy of mine, a couple of my buddies actually that were working for Jimmy Means, see me in a go-kart race and told me. I went and bought the car in December, I guess it was, and raced it at Daytona in February. And a car that I own myself at 25 years old. And I look back now and I think, how in the heck did I pull that off? But, it's there again, it's been great. And one of the things I had a hard time doing that race was getting through inspection, because Kurt forgot to tell me they changed the rule on the window net. So when I got down there, Lance Childress, who was the technical inspector, come and told me, said, Phil, said, you do know this car, you're going to have to change the window net the way it's mounted, don't you? I said, no. I said, I didn't know anything. I said, Kurt didn't tell me. He said, well, you're going to have to change it. Well, I would give $500 right now if I had a picture of this. I talked to Bill Gazaway, and Bill Gazaway was friends with my dad. He was the head guy over NASCAR then, and for the Cup Series. And I talked Bill Gazaway, and he let me drive my car in the Cup garage to Junie Dunleavy's truck, who was the only truck on the property had a welder in it, to refix my window net. And I said, I bet those NASCAR guys, when I come driving that car through there, say, what in the heck is he doing? But stuff like that. I mean, just lots of great memorable moments that, he's talking about writing a book. I've got a lot of crazy stuff like that. It's a once in a lifetime thing that was definitely interesting stuff.
We greatly appreciate you sharing the knowledge that you have of everything. And we can't wait to come down in September and document some of this.
Well, fellas, I appreciate it, and I appreciate your time having me on tonight. And like I said, it's an honor to be on here. It really is. It truly is.
Well, the last question I have for you before you take off, what are your social media platforms you're on, and how do people contact you?
Well, I've got a Twitter account that I don't ever use. I've got an Instagram account that I don't ever use. And I tell people, I said, I've got a Facebook account that I use more than anything because, heck, I'm retired from FedEx and I don't have time to do half the stuff I want to do. And I look back and I say, how did I ever have time to work? But basically through Facebook, because if you send me something on Instagram, yes, I will get it. I'll read it and I'll respond to you. I very seldom ever even look at my Twitter. I don't, because I just can't keep up with all that stuff. These people that have all that stuff must have a couple of people working for them just keeping up with it, because I don't have time. But you can get a hold. If you send me a message on Facebook Messenger, I promise I'll answer you back. If you want to set up an appointment to come here and visit, and I tell people all the time it's open by appointment only, but I'll bend over backwards to fix it to where if you can't come on a Wednesday from noon to 5, I'll make my schedule to where I can be here and have you as a guest. But it's that's the best way, just through Facebook Messenger, or send me a message on Facebook.
All right. Well, Phil.
And I was just going to say,
and how did they get a hold of you on Facebook? Is it Phil Combs or?
Yeah, I've actually got an account for my personal account, what most people use. I do have a Combs Family Museum Facebook page, and you can either place, I'll answer you back. But most people just use my personal page.
And Phil, when we come down, if I remember, I have a gift that I will bring down to give to you. That's a piece of memorabilia from Rockford Speedway here that just recently closed, the oldest sanctioned NASCAR track that was in the United States. Last year, sadly, closed down. It's a
Rockford, Illinois.
Yep, it was Rockford
Bru-
Speedway.
Do you remember when Bruton Smith ran a Ford dealership up there?
I do not.
Well, Bruton, the story that my dad told me, and my dad, I'll have to tell you this because I know we're about to run out of time, but my dad and Ike Kaiser and Buck Baker sold Bruton Smith the lease on the Charlotte Fairgrounds Speedway in 1951, and Bruton started running it in 52. They ran the track in 51, but but Bruton, if I'm not mistaken, he married a woman from Rockford, Illinois, and I think that's how he ended up getting in the Ford business, if I'm not mistaken. Do some research on that and see if I'm not right. That Bruton Smith once lived in Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that and check on that. I know that there is a lot of people that got their start at Rockford Speedway in some capacity that now are in NASCAR at different levels. I mean, Chad Knaus is one of the biggest ones that I can think of right off the top of my head. So
Hey, let me ask you one more thing before we get off here. Did you by chance get to watch the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Lost Speedways show about New Asheville Speedway?
Yes, sir.
yep.
The fact that we're talking about Robert Presley tonight, Robert was a big part of that too. And I felt very fortunate to get to be on that. But, when Matt Dillner contacted me about being on there, he said, man, I had never met Matt really at that time. And he called me and said, hey, he said, everybody that I talked to said that if I want to find out something about New Asheville Speedway, that you got the biggest collection of anybody. And I said, well, you got to realize I've been going there, since I was a kid, and I do have a lot of stuff. But, that was something that I did in my life, that being on those two episodes, New Asheville and then the one in Shelby here where I live at the Cleveland County Fairgrounds Speedway. And by the way, that's only, it's not even 2 minutes from the barbecue place or wings place on 74. But yeah, doing that with Dale Jr. and Matt Dillner and Bobby Marcos, that was another one of the highlights of my career as far as being involved in racing, because man, that show was just so cool. And it's such a shame they only had 2 seasons of it.
Yeah, I wish they would have kept going with it.
I have a feeling that it may be coming back.
Well, there's talk of it. Yeah, there's a little bit of talk that it might come back in some capacity again. But I think that the folks who just really started getting into it, and that was the end of it, after 2 seasons. But I just brought that up because of what was talking about Robert Presley but I greatly appreciate. I would love to have been on here anytime, but to get to be here on Robert Presley night makes it extra special.
Yes, sir. And we'll have you back on. We'll have you back on anytime you want. Just let us know.
Yeah, well,
okay, fellas.
You'll have to set up in a different room that time.
Okay, I will. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll do a podcast and you'll just change rooms. So like eventually when we get through your whole museum and rooms of your house and buildings and stuff, then everybody eventually will see everything.
That'll work. Sounds good to me. Anytime you fellas want to do it, I'm all for it.
All right,
Sounds
Phil. Well,
good.
you have yourself a great night, bud, and I really appreciate it, and I'll definitely be hitting you up next time I head out to Shelby.
Sound like a plan. I'll buy you supper. How's that?
Sounds like a plan to me. I was thinking about doing the same thing.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Phil.
Okay, you guys have a good evening. Again, appreciate it very much.
No problem.
You're welcome. Our pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
That gentleman has a huge collection. Dave, that makes your Racing Warehouse 2.0 seem like 0.5.
I feel like I should be driving a lifted Dodge Ram right now.
I mean,
I was gonna say you're the sheet metal sheriff, and he's like the NASCAR president of memorabilia.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm from Charlotte. He's from Dubai. That's how we'll look at that. You
yeah,
know?
that's awesome. That
Yeah.
Tate, I want to give you a shout out. Thank you for getting us hooked up with Phil. That was absolutely an awesome interview. Um, that was segment 1, and that was brought to you by Alliance Driveway Solutions. Um, we're gonna go right into segment 2. It's brought to you by Kylie Glick, and ladies and gentlemen, driver of the number 67, Kylie Glick, is going to be joining us as of right now.
Hi guys, how are you guys doing?
Doing real
Doing
good,
good, how are
Kylie.
you?
Long time no see, and congratulations
Yeah,
on all the off-season success.
thank
Yeah,
you so much. Yeah.
a lot of new hardware there in the background. We could see.
Yeah, I had
Well
to change it
deserved.
all out. Yeah, it's all brand new.
So
So
what?
go ahead, Dave.
I was just about ready to ask, what's new on the West Coast?
Well, there has been a lot of exciting things that happened this off season, or since like the last time I talked to y'all. And like you guys said, a lot more hardware, and I have done a lot more traveling and just a lot of really cool experiences this off season. We were definitely kept busy, which is always good. When you're not racing, you're still doing racing things, traveling for racing, making connections and everything. And we've already had 2 races since the beginning of this year, which is pretty good with the amount of rain I feel like we've had. Um, but at the end of last season, we still had 1 race to go, and we ended up taking home the championship. And the goal at the beginning of last season was we were like, well, we can't race the first 2 pro late model races because of my age, and so I knew that I couldn't be first in points, and so we were like, well, we're set on third. So we ended up taking third point in the pros, third place in points overall for the pro division, which is honestly pretty good for the amount of competition that I was faced and all the learning we had to do. And it was such like a big change from the junior late models. There was so much more to adapt to. So we were pretty lucky to take home third place. And then I also was able to get rookie of the year, which I feel like I feel like more of an accomplishment than getting my championship, which is pretty crazy to say. Um, but we had a really good season last year, and then we got to celebrate by going to PRI at the end of last year to take home we were announced to be a Hoosier Hero for 2025, and that whole experience was amazing. We got to spend a whole week in Indianapolis and shake a lot of really cool hands and meet a lot of people, and Hoosier was amazing. They took care of us so well. The whole Hoosier Hero program was amazing. They just in that trip, that was amazing. If that's all that, like, they really take care of everybody, all of their workers and heroes and everybody. It was such a really cool trip, and I got to meet a lot of really cool drivers that are from like even quad racers to sprint car drivers to legend drivers. I got to meet them all, so it was a really cool experience. And then we got to go to PRI and actually shake some business hands like MPI and OMP, which are now a part of my team and are helping me. And we have a really good relationship. And um, yeah, so, and then we had 2 races at Kern this year at Kern County Raceway in the Cars Tour series here on the West Coast. And it's definitely a big change from going to Roseville and Madera and the Bull Ring and everything to the tracks that I'm used to going to a huge half-mile super banked track. I mean, I learned a lot so far, and there's so much more to learn. I mean, I'm on brand new tires. I've never ran slicks before, so we were thrown a big track, new tires, big changes, and so we've been adapting pretty good so far. And there's been some challenges, but I mean, that's racing. I mean, you always get things thrown your way, and you never know what's going to happen. So I feel like my team has always been amazing, has given me a great car, and we've gotten over the challenges pretty well. And we have my next race at Roseville is April 12th, which is going to be a Cars Tour Series race, as well as so it'll be Cars Tour points and home track points. So it's going to be a combined race, and so I'm excited to see what we could do at my home track and hopefully show them, how good we are.
And you signed with Driven.
Oh my goodness, yes. There's so much things. But yeah, we are one of the Driven ambassadors. I'm not sure. I guess you could say an ambassador. They have helped us so much, and some really cool glasses. I mean, I definitely would recommend going check them out. They're so durable and like lightweight and everything, and they're very affordable too for how good quality you're getting.
All I can say is I can say one thing, and Rob pointed it out earlier. I was in Florida, and this is why I had a hat on. You can see my Driven sunglass marks across my face. That's all. That's all I see.
Yeah.
I come into work today, and everybody was like, "Dude, you need to quit wearing those glasses so much." I was like, "No." They kept my eyes nice and comfy. But
Oh yeah.
what's your code for Driven so everybody can do that?
I am not sure. Do we have a code for Driven?
Yes, Kylie 67.
Okay, the code is Kylie67. I wasn't sure if it was Kylie Glick Racing or whatever. There was so many possibilities right there, but it's just Kylie Glick 67. Kylie 67, sorry. Something simple, so.
So what are your favorite go-to pair of Driven sunglasses?
Actually, I've got them hung up right here. These ones are definitely my favorite. They're coming out with a hot pink pair. We were able to talk to them at the first Kern County race, and they're coming out with the hot pink pair. And I'm so excited to be getting to test those out. I was told that I was going to be able to get a pair, and so those I think are going to be my favorite pair. But these ones are my go-to right now. They're simple black. They go with anything. My blue suit, my red car, it all. And my new suit is coming in soon, so they'll go with that, match it perfectly. All their pairs are really good, though. I have like 3 or 4 more, and they've lasted me since like last summer. They're so durable.
Yeah, I think my favorite ones are the slide jobs.
Yeah. I think these are side jobs too. I think.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
So Kylie, can you tell us how your last race went and all that?
Yeah, of course. The last race at Kern, we were having some difficulties, but my crew was unfortunately not my whole team was able to be there. Some of them had to go to Buttonwillow, which is T2 racing. It's a road course racing here. It's like 20 minutes up the road from Kern, and so my spotter Tony, he was able to come and help us after the races or whenever he could answer the phone and help make us better and adjustments and everything. And so while they were at Buttonwillow, we were at Kern, and we had a pretty smooth weekend. We had to be there for points wise and everything, and keeping up with the Cars Tour Series. And I think it went pretty well. We learned a lot. We learned like a better line and everything, because in the main we just wanted to make some laps because we are very fresh to Kern, and so we used the main event, the 75 laps, to make basically like a practice session. We were just hitting the laps, trying to be consistent, like hit there, because the main was about like 6 to 6:45, so the sun was going down, so the temperature was changing and everything. So we were trying to get used to that, and me as a driver getting used to that, how to control the car, because at the beginning of the race your line is going to be different from the end of the race, and how to notice that, and me as a driver notice that and know when to change my line or do this to make this better, like open up my entry a little bit more, and so that way I can get to the bottom, so it'll fix the tightness in one corner that maybe the other corner is too loose. That way it evens it out and everything. We did have to come into the pits one time during the race to make some adjustments and fix some things. But besides that, I think we had a really solid race. We came home with a pretty clean car, which is always a plus, and we finished the race, and yeah.
Yeah, the more seat time you get, the better you're going to get. I mean, for our listeners and viewers that don't know, this is literally your second year in a full-bodied race car, which is crazy. That you, in your first year, you won a championship, and then you got Rookie of the Year in the Pro, and now you're racing, in a touring series in a pro late model that is a full-bodied car with different tires, half-mile track, high bank, higher speed track, and just seat time is what you need and helps you get better, and helps you grow with your craft and stuff. So you're doing an amazing job. No matter the finishings, your wins and all that kind of stuff are obviously on the horizon. It's what I'm trying to say, I guess, is the more seat time you get and the harder you work, it's going to pay off in the long run. So just don't get discouraged and just keep staying positive like you have, and keep grinding and doing your best with the sims and your team and everything that you've been doing in the off season that you've been talking about and posting on your social media and stuff. So,
well, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the speed and everything. We're going about like 125 here at Kern, which is like 30 miles per hour difference, which it doesn't feel that fast going around the track. Like you honestly feel slower, or like you don't notice it as much on the big tracks, just because like on the straightaways it's just so long and you're just like driving and stuff. But you definitely notice it because you go through the tracks and everything happens so quickly, or like on the shorter tracks. But like you said, we got a brand new sim at the race shop, and that's been helping me with all that seat time and everything. And it's a legit, like, it's super cool to see like a legit sim and be able to sit in it, because it has like a heater box that you can turn on, and it does cold too, but we use it for heating, so that way it feels like a real race car. And the pedals feel the same, and just like it makes you more, not necessarily like the adrenaline part, like that you kind of have to get over. Like it takes you a few laps to really like your mind lock in and like just focus like on hitting lines and everything, and like focus on memorization. That's like really the main thing that the simulator helps us with, is like, say that you were doing road course, to memorize, okay, this is that turn, and this is the gear I need to be in for this turn. Or because on road course you shift a lot more, so that really helps us. And with all like the TA2 drivers on my team, that really helps them too. They really said like that it's been helping them, and it feels super legit. And you can get in there with your suit and everything. Like it has a full containment seat belts, the door shuts, the window net goes up, like it's a full thing. So it's really cool with like the full TVs around you, and you're in like a full like stock car frame and everything. So that's been helping me really stay fresh and everything for Kern, because we're able to run Kern on the simulator. And I've been doing wrestling in my off season a little bit. The season for wrestling is over right now, but that really kept me in shape. I mean, we were putting in some time. Like those wrestling really is a tough sport. I can't lie. I didn't get to do any tournaments, but I was there for all the conditioning and everything, and it really kicked my butt. But they have the room up to like 90 degrees, which honestly, the hotness wasn't really getting to me. I feel like I've been in the car really has taught me that that's not hot, but it really, like, you're working out and running and doing like running back and forth for maybe 10 minutes in this really hot room, and everything. It really keeps you in shape. So I'll be doing that next season, and it really helped me. It got me really toned and everything. So very grateful for that. And yeah, we're ready to get after it this season.
You know, there's wrestling is one of the sports that there's research supposedly shows that because of the, you know, it's your strength, the endurance, and the hand-eye coordination and agility, all that together, all athletes that do wrestling are better than other athletes that haven't done wrestling in any sport. Specifically in football is one of the sports. The wrestling, the people that wrestle stand out and are more athletic, agile than ones that didn't do wrestling. So I did see that on your social media post once, not too long ago, that you were doing wrestling, and I thought that was pretty cool. I mean,
yeah, I did not get very many photos. It was crazy in there, but yeah, it really did do some work.
Yeah, amazing workout, and you're you know, doing stuff that actually sort of pertains to your racing career too, because you need endurance and physical strength, and the you know, the hand-eye coordination and stuff, and agility. So, you know, it all works together. It's like a win-win.
Exactly. Exactly, yeah. That was really the main thing that why I was doing wrestling. My spotter, Tony, he was like, you need to do wrestling. Like, kept telling me, like, you need to do wrestling. His kids did wrestling, so I was like, yeah, like, I mean, I'll get to it. But then one day I came to the track, he's like, all right, I signed you up for wrestling. You're gonna be there at this time. Go to wrestling. I was like, okay, Tony. So I started going, and it really has helped me. I mean, like, I feel like I'm so much more aggressive and I can last so much more laps in the car because wrestling, you have to last certain amount, like you have to be on and 100% for maybe 4 or 5 minutes consistently wrestling, and it really gets like your brain to like slow down, and like you have to do so many things at once, and like you said, like it really helps. And I feel like um a lot of people might not think like wrestling is like the best option. Like, how would that help racing? But I think it really helped me, and so I definitely would recommend it and everything. But yeah.
And when people get lippy with you and meet you in the pits, you can put them in an arm bar. I mean,
Yeah, I've learned a lot actually. I have learned a lot of moves, and it's super funny.
Yeah, you get dumped by somebody, and the next thing you know, Flow Racing goes to the pits, and here's Kylie got somebody in the arm bar, and they're tapping out. Let me go.
she'll be at Bowman Gray next, throwing down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be so funny.
Yeah.
Now, just so everybody knows, we're gonna still have Kylie on here and there throughout the season, but episode 67 is going to be all about Kylie and her family. So I know Miranda's right around the corner, so Miranda, be ready because you're gonna be on camera too.
Yes, she can't hear you. I have headphones in, but she is going to be ready and talking a lot. So I'm super excited. That's one of the best numbers out there, and so I'm excited to be on that episode. Definitely looking forward to it. There's going to be a lot of really cool talking and everything on that episode. So definitely stay tuned.
And then the other thing, I don't know if you have noticed or if Bobby mentioned anything, to keep our podcast shorter on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I'm doing a race report usually on Mondays. So
Okay.
if there's anything that you want me to report, just have either you or your mom send a message to me, and I'll add it to the race report on Monday. So
Well, perfect. That sounds amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah, Rob.
Yeah,
Congrats.
Rob branched out and got his own show.
no, I'm still
Yeah.
part of it. It's just because I talk too much, I guess, and I get too wound
That's the whole
up.
point of the podcast.
Yeah.
You gotta talk.
We decided to branch it off into two different shows because what I brought up to these guys is I'd like to spend more time with our guest.
Yeah.
And that way, per se today. If
Yeah.
Phil decided he wanted to stay on and he wanted to talk for 2 hours or 3 hours, we could have let him talk.
Yeah.
Where
I
if
wouldn't have
we
had to get my phone charger.
right, but what I'm saying is that if we would have stopped and let Rob jump in, then
Oh.
it probably still would have been about 2.5 hours. But we do it on Monday or Wednesday like he does, and he loves it. He does his own little section, and then it pretty much ramps it up for our show. Is how
Yeah.
we came up with it.
Like a little teaser. I like that. That's super cool.
Yeah, Rob's
Yeah.
our official hype man now. It's pretty sweet.
I don't know about that, but I guess I guess you could say that. Is that my official added title now, hype man?
Yep,
Yep,
hype man.
we already got Brandon added it onto the intro.
Okay.
Yep, so you're the hype man, Dave's the sheet metal sheriff, and I'm just the host.
Perfect.
The
host-
hostess with the mostest.
Host with the most.
But Kylie, what your next race, like you said, is April 8th or April
April
12th?
12th.
Okay, so
April
April
12th.
12th, we will that week
Yeah.
we'll have a race recap for you.
Perfect.
And,
And then
yeah.
we'll be racing the following weekend at Kern again, so we'll be back to back. And then I think my next race after that is May 10th back at Roseville for another Cars Tour race.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for back-to-back racing and a lot more consistent racing this season. Or now that it's more better weather and everything, we're going to be racing a lot more. So I'm very excited. Racing is my favorite thing ever. So I'm excited to be back in the driver's seat.
I got one more question. Any new merch coming up?
Perfect. We not at the moment that we have anything in mind, but we can definitely we're working on stuff and everything, getting some stuff uploaded to the website. So if you guys want to check it out, it's just shopkylieglick.com. And we should be dropping some new stuff maybe soon. So yeah, stay tuned for that.
Maybe some Area 51 and Kylie Glick merge.
Maybe we could do a little collab, of course.
I think
Maybe some Lululemon leggings, Area 51 and Kylie Glick Racing.
Perfect. I love it.
See?
Rob, nobody needs to see that, buddy.
I know.
No, I'm sorry, Rob. But no, what I was trying to hint at is so Miranda and I are working on a few things, but we're gonna be working on some crew shirts for Area 51 and Kylie. So
Perfect.
it's gonna be a kind of like our Jeremy Clements ones that we had made last year, but we're gonna do Kylie Glick Racing on one aspect, and then we're also going to be doing a Jeremy Clements version for the East Coast.
That's amazing. I am so hyped about that. No, that sounds amazing.
So we'll obviously you'll have to talk to your mom and see the design
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah, of course. And then we'll get it all uploaded to social media and everything.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
So good luck in the upcoming race, and we'll see you soon.
Well, thank you guys so much. It was definitely a shorter podcast tonight, but I'm excited to hopefully to have a lot more talk about next podcast and everything. Hopefully it'll be a good race and a lot of side-by-side racing, and we'll hopefully take home the pro championship this year. So we'll see. I'm aiming for that. We'll see.
Awesome.
I think
Good
we
luck.
can do it. Thank you so much, guys.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
Thanks, Kylie.
Take care. Good
Bye.
luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys.
You're
No
welcome.
problem.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, so that was our segment 2 race report brought to you by Kylie Glick Racing by Kylie Glick. So let's circle back for a second. What do you guys think of episode or segment 1? I can't, like, I'm just sitting here thinking about it, like all that knowledge that was coming from Phil.
That's why I was just sitting there. My brain is like today when I was doing all the, the research and stuff for the questions and for the script and stuff. my brain was just, and I talked to you a couple times, Bobby, today. It's just been going like in a circle going, how do I like, take in all this information that and digest it and then come out with questions that, because he's so knowledgeable. I mean, literally, he, I think he probably has stuff from probably the 40s through present from memorabilia there. I know in one video, it might have been the Stapleton video that he was talking about. He actually has, his parents attended the very first Darlington race.
Yep.
And he has the very first program from the Darlington race. And it's their 75th anniversary this year.
Right.
I mean, that just blows my mind. That's crazy. And
he was even talking about the sand race at Daytona.
yeah,
Right. Like,
How his parents were part of that. I mean,
yeah,
when you talk about, from then to now, it doesn't get any further from then, the sands of Daytona,
Yep.
to now. I mean, what an encyclopedia and, what a treasure.
I cannot wait to go down there in September. I really am looking forward to. He said that we will probably be there at least 3 hours.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. If he's got 3 rooms that look like his Harry Gant room, it's more than 3 hours.
Right. And we were actually talking, so we're gonna go to the NASCAR Hall of Fame on Sunday. And then when we're done with that, we're going to make the trip down to his museum. So it might be a museum overload.
Yeah, I don't know. But just remind me before we leave for that trip, I will grab something for him that is pretty cool. I mean, I might as well just say it. I have 2 of them. I have one downstairs on my basement wall. The one of the owners of Rockford Speedway, David Deary, when I was part of a race team, I think it was last year, was 2016. It might have been 2017. I can't remember what. I was not at the track all the time. And the last time I was there, he cleaned out a whole bunch of their stuff and had banners and all these old banners and stuff. And there was actually 2 Winston Racing Series original banners with the year 1983 on them.
Oh,
and
nice.
I have 2 of them. So I'll give him one of them. I'm sure he doesn't have one of those. I mean, I can't say that for sure because he has so much stuff, but that would be something that I think would be cool to add to his collection there, where it's an actual banner that flew at a racetrack where in 1983, Bobby Allison won the championship and raced at Rockford Speedway. And, Mark Martin and other, old school legends in the sport raced there when that banner was flying. I mean, it's just pretty cool. So I just thought of that, with people keep bringing him stuff, that would be a simple, easy present from us to thank him for taking time to be on our podcast. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like I said in the beginning of the show, make sure you go to harrisonsusa.com for the Jeremy Clements throwback shirts. They will be on, and hopefully soon. They didn't give me an actual time, but they said stay tuned. Remember, More Designs has the large stickers and the small stickers, $8 and $4. All proceeds go to Area 51 Racing Podcast. Also, the tumbler that Rob has. We just had these ones made up for Harrison's, and they came out absolutely fantastic. I want to give her a shout out for that. Gale is a beard official beard product of Area 51 Racing Podcast. if you use Area 51 at your checkout, the discount code, you get 15% off your order and free shipping. And I'm gonna be ordering me some because I'm almost out. So with that being said, make them say it. Golly.
Golly.
Hey.
I literally came back from Florida and I said, "Oh crap, I'm almost out."
Did you use
So
it as tan lotion too?
no,
I didn't think you could ever run out.
I gave some to Nick, I gave some to other people. So yeah, I'm down to one bottle. So I'm like, I need to order some. So I think I'm gonna order about 50.
That will probably last maybe a month.
Right.
I'm telling you, I saw him, the amount that he
Cool.
uses.
I don't use it like I used to.
It just
Anyways.
blew me away. I was like, holy cow.
Anyways, make sure you check out Racing Warehouse for your Jeremy Clements merch, um, sheet metal, whatnot, apparel through Armadillo. Got to give them a shout out. Appreciate everything they do. These awesome polos. They have a bunch of stuff lately. What do you call those? Fire suits and all sorts of stuff on there.
Yep, and they're what was it? They're just got a Buddy Baker collection. So if you're into the old school Buddy Baker, definitely keep an eye up on the Facebook site. They're posting new stuff every day, and it's real cool vintage, legit Buddy Baker stuff.
Oh, very
So
good.
it's like stuff that Phil would have at his museum. I mean, today they auctioned off an actual trophy.
Yeah.
And actual fire suit patches.
Yep.
I mean, I was like, holy crap. I saw when I think Eric, it was either Rankin or Eric or one of them posted that they acquired this Buddy Baker collection, and there was a lot of cool stuff, but it's crazy that with trophies and everything else, it's pretty cool.
Got to give a shout out once again to Tate for making this episode possible. That was absolutely a fantastic interview. Thanks to Tate, thanks to Alliance Driveway Solutions. Make sure that if you get a diecast out there, make sure you go to Circle B Diecast. They are the official diecast company of Area 51 Racing Podcast. Discount code Area 51, get $6 off your shipping. I've used it. I believe Rob's used it, and I know Dave's used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have too. I think I bought like 6 of them. So,
well, I think if you look around in my background, I may or may not have maybe used it or not.
Yeah,
that's just the diecast behind me. You can't see the ones on each wall there.
Yeah, trust me, I know. So make sure that you go to check out Benzik Designs. They are the official diecast display product of Area 51 Racing Podcast. The owner, Matt Benzik, he has an Etsy page. He does 1/64 diecast stands, 1/24. He does the car or truck haulers. He's working on something right now that is a racetrack that can hold the cars, and I believe you can fit 9 of them on it, and it is absolutely fantastic looking.
Yeah, Taylor Kitchen from Above the Yellow Line just got hers.
Yep,
and she shared it.
Area 51's getting there soon, and it's gonna look gnarly.
Yeah,
Michigan can't come soon enough.
I think she had Charlotte Speedway for hers, if I remember right. But yeah, it looks freaking badass.
If you're interested in purchasing any of that, make sure you type in Area 51 for 20% off your order on his Etsy page. Like Kylie said, if you want any Kylie Glick merchandise, please go to her Kylie Glick Facebook page and click on her new merchandise post that she has here and there. Also, thank you everybody for tuning in, for supporting us. I want to give a shout out to the 6 new subscribers tonight. Can't thank you guys enough. We're gonna be working on our 100th episode T-shirts coming up. The designs are getting made here soon. They're going to be absolutely awesome looking. Dave, Rob, and I want to thank the fans, and that is part of our shirt. Is we are thanking the fans. We really do appreciate everything. Episode 59, like I said, I mean, wow. I mean, in a short 2 years or less than 2 years, we've already hit 59 episodes. Guys, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube page, Spotify. Click on the podcast logo, go to Spotify and listen to Area 51 Racing Podcast. Just type it in your search bar, Area 51 Racing or Area 51 Racing Podcast, and it pops right up. Take a listen. All 59 episodes will be up there as of tomorrow. Follow us on our social media page, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, at Area 51 Racing Podcast. Dave, Rob, you guys got anything before I do the rundown on the podcast sponsors?
No, I'm still kind of in awe over the collection.
Yeah.
And I'm even more excited for September to roll around, do our 100th episode, and get to hang out with you guys and do a whole bunch of cool shit. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
I agree. I couldn't have said it better, Dave. I'm looking forward to it too.
Charlotte,
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool shit.
Yep.
I think we're gonna use that. Text that in the chat because I kind of like that.
Okay.
Want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors.
It's permanent now. It's
What?
if you go on Spotify, if you go on YouTube, you can look at this anytime you want.
Yeah, true. But you can still type it in there because Anna's not on here all the time. So I'm excited. I think Charlotte's going to be kind of break the rules kind of.
No, you should put that down.
I did.
I know.
Break the rules, off the rails, in the marbles,
Just don't let Rob fly the plane.
off the cushion.
Hey, you'll end up in my backyard like the last
no
airplane.
kidding. What the heck you guys doing here?
Right.
Rob decided he wanted to fly.
Right.
No.
We made it.
That's
We made
something
it.
that I will not attempt to do.
If anybody flies, it's me. Anyways,
Anyway.
I want to thank everybody once again. Thank all of our fans. Thank all of our sponsors. Everybody who makes the podcast possible. Spartan Waste, Fox Sports Spartanburg, Harrison's, Action RV, Kylie Glick Racing, Matman Designs, The Runner's Roost, Alliance Driveway Solutions, Anna Amora Designs, Circle B Diecast, Driven Sunglasses and Driven Trackside, Elite Towing and Recovery, High Speed Auto, Booze Pops, The Racing Warehouse and Armadillo Apparel, Belcher Cheesecake Company, Fly Form Concrete Structures, First Pacific Funding, Surefit Companies, Gale Beard Products, Wings Etc., Dialed In, Focus Pouches by Whitetail Smokeless, Benzik Designs, Sachenbach Landscaping. I gotta give a shout out real quick. We're gonna Enigma Tattoo Studios. He actually posted my tattoo the other day on his Facebook page, and I want to give him a huge shout out. Thank you for doing that, and I appreciate everything that you did for my tattoo in memory of my dad and all that. So I want to thank him for doing that. Also, thank you, Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing, for everything you guys do. And before we sign off tonight and do our exit, I want to let everybody know that we are doing the Booze Pops bumper from Darlington. And we're auctioning it off. Well, I wouldn't say auctioning. We're doing squares like we did before. We have
Donation
already sold
squares.
19 squares. So I want to give a shout out to everybody that has jumped on already and bought a square. Thank you guys and ladies. Absolutely awesome. I mean, I think we're going to crush this one this time. So with that being said, thank you guys, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Y'all have a good night, and we will see you guys next Tuesday.